Hello and welcome. I'm Kevin Cartutino, and I am delighted to introduce everyone to our own make-believe company, Paring Timang, saving energy while also saving you. So what is Paring Timang nga ba? So Paring Timang is your trusted partner in sustainable energy solutions. Here, we specialize in designing and implementing strategies to help building owners to reduce their energy consumption, lower costs, and minimize their environmental footprints. And so, to further demonstrate our commitment to sustainability, we've developed this comprehensive presentation on guidelines on energy conserving designs of buildings. This resource provides valuable insights to building owners seeking to reduce their energy footprint and create more sustainable spaces. And finally, let's move on. Let's meet the Paring Timang family. Pang!
Hi, I'm Edwin Geraldep Sabado, alias Tindeng.
Hi, I'm Nazareus J. Corpus, alias Igado.
Hi everyone, I'm Marus Luis F. Diaz, alias Mando.
Hi everyone, I am Kevin Cartutino, alias Aldus.
Hello, I'm Timothy Marquejada, alias Nyoging.
Hi, I'm Joyce Efadarayan, alias Gwenten.
Okay, and together, we are Timang. But, hold on. Before kami mag-start ng presentation, of course, may very short kaming commercial na galing sa Paring Timang. Alam ko naman gustong-gusto niyo to. And it will start in 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Hello po, sino po sila?
Hello Mr. Torres, I am the CEO of my electrical company and here's your bill.
Ha? Sir, excuse me po, pero parang papatayin na ako sa laki ng bill ko ngayon. Sigurado pong may mali po dito.
Mr. Torres, actually ito pa lang yung na-complete namin na bill mo eh. Of course, kailangan ko rin dagdag na kita, di ba? Anyways, wala naman tayo maging problema, di ba?
Pwede po bang pag-usapan muna natin ito?
Mr. Torres, you disappointed me. As much as I like to talk about this with you, but sadly, I don't have much time. Lineman, putulan niyo na siya.
Bakit ang laki naman ang bill ko? Baka di ko nagamit sa susunod ang aircon at iba pang appliances para makatipid lang sa kuryente. Ano nang gagawin ko ngayon? Ha? Sino po kayo? Wala kayong pasok dito.
Ako to, si Paring Timang. Di ka na mag-aalala sa bid mo. Paliliipin ko yan.
Ha? Paano?
Sa kapangyarihan ng pagsunod sa guidelines of energy conserving design, gagawin kong energy efficient ang bahay mo sa isang pitik lamang ng aking daliri.
Adik po ba kayo?
Oo, adik ako sa pagtulong sa nangangailangan. Paring Timang!
Ha? Ano nangyari? Parang wala naman ang bago. Ha?
What's up everyone? I'm Edwin Sabado, alias Tindeng, ang pinakamasarap yung appetizer para sa lesson na to. Let's go!
Guidelines of Energy Conserving Design of Buildings. Republic Act No. 11285, otherwise known as Energy Efficiency and Conservation Act of 2019. strengthens the policy of the state towards the efficient and judicious utilization of energy. The law mandates that all buildings constructions and new building retrofits should comply with minimum requirements, energy efficiency, and conservation of stated in the guidelines of energy conserving design of buildings. So, ano nga ba ang Republic Act number 11285? Ang law na ito ay nakafocus sa pag-save ng energy and kung paano siya magamit ng tama. It also reminds us that energy is a resource na hindi dapat sinasayang dahil important ito sa ating daily lives. Saan naman na-apply ang law na ito? So, this law applies to all new buildings, pati na rin sa mga old buildings na under renovation. Nire-require ang mga buildings na sumunod sa mga energy-saving rules. For examples, schools, malls, or offices, kailangan nila gumamit ng mga energy-efficient tools and designs tulad ng mga LED lights, solar panels, or better air conditioning systems. These changes not only save electricity pero nakatulong din siya sa pagpababa ng mga electrical bills natin and nakatulong din siya to protect the environment from pollution waste cause of energy waste. Next is Section 1, Purpose. To promote energy-efficient building designs, set guidelines for new and renovated buildings, and ensure compliance for sustained energy efficiency while considering cost, functionality, and occupant well-being. So, ang goal ng law na to is to encourage energy-efficient buildings designs. So, nagbibigay siya ng mga guidelines to make sure that the new renovated buildings operates in ways na makapag-save siya ng energy. So, example, imagine isang office ng isang company, building. Instead of using regular lights, they can use LED lights, which last longer and nagko-cost din siya ng less electricity. They can also design windows and walls to let in more natural light and air para ma-reduce na rin yung paggamit ng mga artificial lighting and air conditioning. So, kino-consider din ng law na to na ang well-being ng mga tao inside these buildings. It also ensures that energy-saving buildings are still comfortable, functional, and affordable for the people. Hindi lang kasi siya nagkakat ng energy cost eh. About din siya sa pag-create ng mga spaces na hindi lang better para sa mga tao, kundi better na rin para sa environment. Next, to prescribe guidelines and minimum requirements for the energy-conserving design of new buildings and major renovation of existing buildings that fall and are covered under these guidelines and provide methods for determining compliance with the same to make the building always energy efficient. So, ina-explain ito yung mga rules para maging energy efficient yung isang building. It applies to two types of buildings, which are new buildings and renovated buildings. The law also includes ways to check if building rules are being followed. Sa tulong na rin ng mga inspectors na nagbe-verify kung namimit ba ng mga buildings sa mga energy saving standards and nagsasuggest din sila ng mga improvements kung kinakailangan. This also ensures that the energy efficiency goals are met even after the construction or renovation of the building is done. Section 2, Definition of Terms. So, meron tayong dalawang key categories of establishments mentioned sa guidelines na to. First is Type 1 Designated Establishments. Ito yung mga establishments na nagko-consume ng 500,000 kWh up to 4 million kWh of energy in 1 year. So, this level of consumption is typically seen in medium-sized buildings katulad ng mga malls, hospitals, and mga malalaking schools. Yung mga building na to ay kinakailangan ng mga energy needs for lighting, energy conditioning, elevators, and iba pang equipments. Next naman is Type 2 Designated Establishments. So, ito naman yung mga establishments na nagko-consume ng more than 4 million kWh of energy annually. Yung mga building naman dito ay mas malalaki and karaniwang malalawak na facility katulad ng mga manufacturing plants. So, ano nga ba ang purpose ng pag-classify ng mga buildings? So, ang purpose nito is to identify those with high energy consumption, Kasi by focusing on these high energy users, we can achieve significant reduction of energy waste. Section 3, Application and Exemption. So, let's talk about the application of these guidelines. This section explains which buildings need to follow the rules and clarifies important points about safety and compliance. Yung guidelines na to is na-apply sa mga new buildings if they meet any of the following conditions, like kung yung building ba has a total connected electrical load of at least 112.5 kVA, which refers to the expected power consumption, or when the building has a total gross floor area of at least 10,000 square meters, which includes the total floor area of all levels. Yung guidelines din na to ay na-apply sa expansion or modification of existing buildings. B. The guidelines shall not be used to circumvent any applicable safety, health, or environmental requirements. For example, while reducing energy use is important, the building must still meet fire safety standards, proper ventilation requirements, and other critical regulations. Kasi, the guidelines emphasize na energy-saving rules cannot be used to ignore applicable safety, health, and environmental laws. Now, let's talk about exemptions. Areas with industrial or manufacturing processes. These are places like factories, power plants, or chemical plants kung saan gawa yung mga goods using large machines and equipments. Bakit sila exempted? Sila exempted dahil sa high energy demand, and especially sila yung mga needs natin and for safety din.
Hello everyone, I'm Leslie J. Corpus, reporter number 2, alias Igado.
Ang sarap mo, Pia!
So, section number 4 is all about thermal performance of the building envelope. So, Igado, ano nga ba yung thermal performance? So, syempre, i-google natin yan. So, according to Google, thermal performance is the building's ability to maintain a comfortable temperature while using minimal energy. So, ibig sabihin po nito, kung mababa po yung thermal performance, mababa din po yung magiging energy consumption ng building natin. So, next slide. This section is mandatory for air-conditioned buildings and hindi po ito required or mandatory for air-conditioned buildings. Pero, recommended po siya for non-air-conditioned buildings to improve thermal comfort. The requirements and guidelines in this section will cover external walls, roofs, air leakage, and reflectance of the roof. Next slide. So, Igado, ano nga ba yung building envelope? So, ang building envelope po is the system that separates the interior from the exterior of the building. So, basically po, ang building envelope protects the interior of the building from weather elements like the sunlight and provide insulation and contribute to energy efficiency. Ang examples po ng building envelope is roofs, windows, and walls. Ang building envelope po is designed to minimize external heat gain and thereby reduce the cooling load or yung stress on the air conditioning system. Next slide. So there are two methods to fulfill the requirements of building envelope. The first one is the overall thermal transfer value method or the OTTV method. So ang OTTV method po basically is the amount of heat on average na pumapasok through the building envelope. So next slide. So katulad po na sinabi ko kanina, one of the examples is walls. So there are three basic elements of heat gain na pwedeng dumaan sa external walls. The first one is heat conduction through opaque walls, or ito po yung mga walls na di po pwedeng dumaan yung mga ilaw or any kind of light. Next one is the heat conduction through the glass windows, and lastly, solar radiation through the glass windows. So next slide. So dito po natin makikita yung formula na gagamitin natin para makalculate yung OTTV in an external wall. So for the purpose of energy conservation, the maximum permissible OTTV has been set at 45 watts per meter squared. So kapag mas mababa po yung OTTB na kuha natin, mas maganda po yung energy consumption o mas mababa po yung magiging energy consumption ng building envelope. Next slide. Dito po natin makikita yung mga parts ng formula. So next slide. So we have roof. Sabihin po nito, mas vulnerable po yung roof sa solar radiation kaysa sa mga vertical surfaces katulad ng walls. Next slide. So, mas importante po na magkaroon tayo ng roof insulation. Purpose po ng roof insulation is to conserve energy in air-conditioned buildings and to promote thermal comfort in non-air-conditioned buildings. Next slide. So, kapag wala pong skylight, gagamit po tayo ng spirited method or the second methodology. So, the OTTB concept for roofs takes into consideration of three basic elements of heat gain. First one is the heat conduction through opaque roof, heat conduction through the skylight, and solar radiation through the skylight. So, katulad lang po ng external walls, the maximum permissible OTTB has been set at 45 watts per meter squared. So, next slide. So, ito na po yung second methodology. So, we have the prescriptive method. It is a design outline that specifies exact requirements, construction techniques, and performance criteria to ensure compliance with the building codes or standards. Next slide po. So, first, we have the solar transmittance of windows. Kailangan po natin bawasan yung amount of glass windows with respect to the wall para mas mababa po yung magiging internal heat gain. The requirement of window-to-wall ratio, or WWR, needs to be balanced with the amount of daylight coming through the glazed area, or yung glass window. Solar heat gain coefficient, or SHGC, is used to determine the amount of solar heat admitted through the glass divided by the total solar radiation or sunlight incident on the glass. Next slide. Kailangan po natin bawasan yung amount of glass windows with respect to the wall in order to reduce internal heat gain. The requirement of window-to-wall ratio needs to be balanced with the amount of daylight coming through the glazed area. Solar heat gain coefficient, or SHGC, is used to determine the amount of solar heat admitted through the glass divided by the total solar radiation incident on the glass. So, SHGC po basically measures the amount of sunlight na pumapasok sa mga window. Slide. Visible light transmittance, or VLT, is used to determine the amount of light transmitted through the glass. WWR, or window-to-wall ratio, shall be balanced with SHGC to maintain flexibility in design. To explain further, the higher the design building WWR, the lower the required SHGC in glass windows shall be, and vice versa. Pero, di po required na sundin ito ng mga building owners. May option pa rin sila na mag-apply sa mga glass windows ng low SHGC kahit mababa po yung WWR ng building nila. Pero, kailangan pa rin po nila sumunod sa national building code. So, next slide. So, required po ang mga buildings na magkaroon ng roof insulation para po ang average U value has the maximum of 1.4 watts per meter squared and the average of U value of the wall is the maximum of 3.4 watts per meter squared Kelvin. So, igado, ano nga ba yung U value? So, according to Google, syempre, ang U value is the measurement of how quickly heat passes through a material or structure. So, sa skylight naman po, it should have an opening ratio of maximum 5% related to the floor area of the room beneath. Kung 10 meter per square yung room na nasa ilalim ng skylight, 0.5 meters na nyo lang po siya pwede i-open.
Sarap mo, Pia!
So next slide. Shading devices and determination of the shading coefficient. So shading devices po is a device or component that blocks or controls the amount of light na pwedeng pumasok sa isang space or area. So the effectiveness of the shading device is defined by the correction factor F, which is the ratio of the solar radiation or sunlight behind and in front of the shading device. Hence, F is equals to 1 if there is a window without shading. And F is equals to 0 if the window is opaque or walang pumapasok na ilaw sa window na yun. Given the huge variety of shading devices and hence F factors, take the following into account when determining the F factor. So, first one is the manufacturer data, simulation, and calculation. So, next slide. So, normally po, when it comes to property, there's a certain line or the boundary line kung hanggang saan po yung pagmamay-ari ng property. So, according to the regulations, dapat po may certain distance from the boundary line to the building, and that distance is 2.3 meters. So, according to the building's regulation, nagkaroon po ito ng flexibility when it comes to sun shading devices. So, from 2.3 naging 1.6 meters. So, sabihin po nyo ito, mas pwede ka pong lumapit sa boundary line na yun, which normally hindi po pwede. So, next slide, air tightness of the building envelope. The infiltration of warm air and ang paglabas ng malamig na hangin contributes to substantially to the heat gain and energy consumption of an air-conditioned building. So, as a basic requirement, buildings shall not have an enclosed doorways, entrances, and etc. So, dapat po ang mga daanan ng mga tao or mga pintuan is dapat po naka-airtight and lagi po nakasara. So, dapat po ang mga pintuan are self-closing doors. Reflectance of the roof. A light-colored building envelope, especially the roof areas which are the most vulnerable since mas mataas pa yung solar radiation, can reduce the heat transfer from the outside to the inside of the building by having surfaces with high solar reflectance index or SRI. So, SRI means, syempre according to Google, is the values of certain materials that has the ability to reflect solar energy and thermally insulate itself. So basically, kapag mataas po yung SRI ng isang materials, mas maganda po yung magiging pag-insulate ng isang building from heat.
Ang sarap mo, Pia!
Hi guys, I'm Maros Luis F. Diaz. I'm reporter number 3. My alias is Mando. I'm reporting Mechanical Systems, Section 5, Air Conditioning and Ventilation Systems. Section 5, Air Conditioning and Ventilating Systems, Scope. Sa scope dito sa Section 5, Air Conditioning and Ventilating System, is pinapaliwanag dito yung kung paano yung tamang paggamit ng tapos yung paano pag-install ng air conditioning and ventilation system with design and yung ano yung mga requirement natin para sa proper functioning ng safety and compliance of air conditioning and ventilation of systems within building. It covers residential, commercial installation. Dito naglalaman yung mga load requirements, tas yung mga kailangan ipasang mga files, tas yung para maging safe, kung ano yung mga safe standards na kailangan natin para makapasa dun sa yung mga i-check dapat sa installation and safety standard, yung mga clearances na kailangan natin para sa maayos na ventilation, tas proper ventilation ng air conditioning natin. Tas yung sa mga control systems, kung maayos ba to, lalo yung sa guidelines na pag-install ng thermostats, humidistats, and time clocks. Yun lang. Next please. This is the next part, the design application. Mga need natin ipasa katulad ng load calculation is yung load na kailangan sa electricity, tas yung gagamitin na load sa mga ventilation, tas aircon, HVAC, ganun. Tas system design and sizing. Yung kung ano yung sukat mo, kung gaano kalaki gagamitin natin. Ito yung sa may specify requirements ng product sizing, materials, installation, methods, and airflow distribution to ensure the adequate air movement. Is kumbaga yung sa pressure loss through ducts must be calculated in system. Must maintain proper air balance. Kumbaga walang papasok na ibang usap, kumbaga hindi mag-overheat or ano. Tapos yung sa may air filtration, may mga minimum air filtration efficiencies na kailangan natin sa HVAC systems natin. It's MERV ratings, minimum efficiency reporting value for air filters. Ito yung sa linis ng paglabas ng usok, tas yung air filter nga kasi nililinis yung pagpasok ng usok, tas sa paglabas ng usok, lalo sa mga indoor air quality IAQ such as high efficiency filters, UV lights or ionization systems. Tas yung sa next part is yung mechanical drawings for air conditioning and ventilating systems. Mechanical drawings, ito yung illustration kung paano natin sa pag-drawing at pagsulat ng yung detailed na layout ng paglalagay ng specific na mechanical systems in a building, like yung air conditioning tas yung ventilation. Yung overview ng mechanical drawing is dito nakakasakop yung mga system layouts. Ito yung mga interconnect ng may mga pipe katulad sa building, yung mga lalaking building, lalo yung sa mga taas sa mga kisame. May mga malalaking parang hose doon na or mga pipe. Tapos may nakasulat din, may nakadrawing yun sa blueprint ng mga engineers. Yung mga types ng mechanical drawings is yung system layouts, ductwork drawings, tapos equipment layouts, tapos piping and refrigerant systems, tapos yung air distribution and ventilation drawings. And also yung control systems, diagrams, tapos yung detail and section views, yung pinaka-detailed na program, tapos kung paano natin nakikita. Yung key components naman ng mechanical drawings is yung air conditioning units. For example, yung rooftop units, yung split system or central systems. Tapos sa heating systems naman is yung mga furnaces, boilers, tapos mga heat pumps. Nakaranimang mga nasa bahay natin. Tapos sa ventilation units naman, such is yung mga air filters, exhaust fans, ayun. Tapos sa air distribution systems naman, such as duct work and field diffuser or yung mga filter, ganun. Tapos sa location of thermostats naman, mas yung control system. Sa outdoor unit replacement, kung ito applicable to iba, such mga chillers, tas cooling, yung mga kung paano para di mag-overheat. Naman, next part is na equipment schedule. It's naglalaman ng mga item number, tas equipment type, kung split type pa to or exhaust fan, tas sa model and name, yung mga brand ng name, tas yung manufacturers kung saan brand galing, tas sa capacity naman is yung cooling capacity, tas yung bigat niyang capacity. Tas sa power requirements is yung voltage, tas sa airflow is yung cubic feet per minute, tas sa refrigerant type, tas quantity, tas location, tas yung remarks is yung mga additional notes na gusto ng buyer or seller. The schedule must be maintained the mechanical plans and specification. Kailangan pareha sila. Tas sa next part naman is yung PNID or piping and installation. Pinaglalaman to ng documentation, operation, maintenance, tapos yung sa compliance. Next part po. Next part naman is calculation procedures. Yung assure natin is naglalaman ng mga safety standards na kailangan para sa air conditioning and ventilation system naman. Tapos sa indoor design condition is number 1 is design dry bulb temperature is 25 degrees Celsius. Tapos sa is design relative humidity is 55%. Number 2 naman is dry bulb temperature is 27 degrees. Number 4 is minimum dry bulb temperature is 25 degrees Celsius. Number 5 is maximum relative humidity is 60% naman. Sa minimum relative humidity is 50% naman. Next part, Kevin. Thank you. Okay, sa next part is outdoor design conditions should be taken as follows for climate zone. Provides design dry bulb temperature 35 degrees Celsius. Tapos sa design wet bulb temperature naman is 28 degrees Celsius. Ventilation, mga need na requirements, tapos mga safety standards na nabanggit ko nung una. Para sa piping natin, connected kasi sila piping, ventilation, tapos air conditioning. Doon papasok yung mga exhaust fans, tapos ganun, kung paano mag-ventilate ng maayos yung air condition, kung paano hindi mag-overheat, tas kung paano maayos yung pag-produce na Bato. Good air. Ganun. Next part, Kevin. The next part naman is kitchen ventilation, also known as vent hood or kitchen hood. Is an appliance typically mounted above ranges or cooktops to help to capture, filter, or vent out cooking greases and steam above your cooking surfaces. Ito yung nakikita natin sa kadalasan sa mga restaurant. Pag nagluluto sa chowking, ganon, sa mga fast foods, o minsan rin sa mga bahay-bahay, ganon. Ginagawa nila. Number 1 is wall-mounted canopy, used for all types of cooking equipment located against the wall. Makikita mo sa picture kung ano itsura niya. Kamukha rin sa mga fast foods. Tapos number 2 is single island canopy, used for all types of cooking equipment in a single island configuration. Ito rin kadalasan kaya nakataas sila is yung para sa usok. Hindi may ipon yung usok doon. Kumbaga lalabas din dahil may exhaust nga na palabas. Next part, Kevin. Okay, the next part is number 3, double island canopy, used for all types of cooking equipment mounted back-to-back in an island configuration. Hindi ko pa alam kung saan ako nakita ng ganyang itsura nung sa double island canopy. Mas malaki naman siya. Just number 4 is box shelf, used for counter height equipment typically located against the wall but could be freestanding. Yung freestanding is yung lang, connected lang din sa sa pagkakalapag ng pinaka-kitchen. Hindi siya yung nasa taas na That's number 5 is eyebrow, used for direct mounting or mounting to oven and some dishwashers. Okay, sa mga nagbe-bake naman. Kaya tinawag na eyebrow kasi parang sa kilay. Ganyan, naka-ukit yung Tapos sa mga nagbe-bake, tinalabas lang din yung usok. Kasi paglabas mo nung sa may bake fan, lalabas yung usok, tapos yung Tapos sa number 6 is passover. Use over counter height equipment when passover configuration from the cooking side to the serving side is required. Sa gilid naman siya. Next part, Kevin. Thank you. The next part is system design and sizing. Ilalaman na ito is yung sa load calculation. Determine the cooling and heating and ventilation requirements of the spaces. Thus, ventilation load, heating load. Number 2 is equipment selection. Is yung air conditioning unit na gagamitin natin. Is yung based on total cooling load. Thus, include ng a safety factor na 10 to 15% of variation of loads. This number 2 is ventilation systems. Ito is cooler or boiler na nakamatch sa total cooling or heating load. Tapos number 4 is ducts and piping. Tapos meron pa is system zoning. It optimize comfort and efficiency by deciding the system into zones based on usage. So may ventilation design, yung para ma-determine natin yung pressure requirements on ASHRAE o yung sa fundamental handbook or pwedeng sa local standard kung paano natin maayos at malalagay yung pinakatamang ventilation design. Kasi design supply and return ducts. Tapos incorporate exhaust systems for areas like restrooms, kitchens, ayun. Kung paano lalabas yung bad air sa lugar na yun, sa area na yun. Tapos, system and efficiency, sizing examples of pipe sizing, tapos compliance and standards or yung other notes na gusto ilagay nung papagawa. Tapos, number 8 is yung pinaka-final review. Yung pinaka-final review ng paano nagawa na buo. Tapos kung paano yung circulation niya, papaliwanag ganun. Yun lang po. Thank you. Next, Kevin. Thank you, Kevin. The next part is engineer systems and equipment. Pinapakita sa image na to is yung building use, IFC PGBI survey 2013, tas Edge of Philippines baseline, tas Philippine GB code, may compliance edge calculation, tas zero code derived from ASHRAE 90.1 2016 minimum compliance. Is may nakalagay itong Office 345, 136, 98, 98, tas residential, condo, hospital, hotel, school, rental mall. Consideration shall be given at the design stages for providing centralized monitoring and control to achieve optimum operations with energy consumption. Next part, Kevin. Fund system design criteria. The purpose of the design of yung criteria ng fund design is for such as ventilation, tas cooling or material handling. So, lalo sa airflow, the design of airflow rate which measured in cubic feet per minute or CFM. Tapos yung sa static pressure niya, yung resistance to flow caused by air moving through the pipe or duct, which means the static pressure of water gauge SPW or pascals. Tapos yung sa airflow condition naman, whether the air is clean or dirty, dry or wet, and what temperature, kung malamig, mainit, ganun. Tapos yung ilalaman rin itong fan design criteria is yung na noise, how much the fan emits and how to reduce it. Tapos yung mga kailangan material na kailangan gamitin. Tapos yung sa electric motor, the powers the fan and how we will matches the fan's power requirements. Ayun lang. Next part, Kevin. The next part is pumping system design criteria. For the purpose of this section, the energy demand of a pumping system is the sum of the demand of all pumps required to operate at design conditions to supply fluid from the cooling system source to the conditional spaces. Sa pressure drop naman is chilled water and cooling water circuits of air-conditioned system shall be designed at a maximum velocity of 1.2 meter squared seconds, that's 3.9 fps for a 50 millimeters diameter pipe, and pressure drop limit of 39.2 kPa per 104 feet equivalent meter for piping over 50 millimeter diameter. Tapos sa variable flow naman niya is pumping systems with adjustable control valves are needed for variable fluid flow capable of reducing flow to 50% or less of design capacity. This can be done with variable speed pumps, multi-stage pumps, or those following performance curves, and avoid pumps with steep performance curves as the limit flow. Next part, Kevin. Next slide is chiller plant installation. Makikita dito sa table 21, minimum insulation thickness for various pipe sizes. Ito yung sa kapal ng nilalagay na pipe. Sa piping system types, fluid temperature pipe sizes naman is millimeters. Yung parang normal na lang. Hindi katulad sa electricity, yung sa mga wires na yung kung ano yung malaki. Na malaking size, yun yung maliit na number yung Tapos sa B, yung sa chiller plant naman, pipes naman is yung pwedeng gamitin natin is yung polyurethane foam, tas cellular glass, fiberglass, tas elastomeric and phenolic foam. Yung nilalagay sa pipe. Ayun lang. Next slide, Kevin. Is the second to the last slide of my report. Chiller plant insulation. Makikita dun sa may table na may kung paano siya kinukuha. Yung 0.032 times thickness sa table 20, tas T is equal to actual R value. Hinahanap dito is yung minimum thickness. Tas D is the chiller surface, especially the evaporator, shell, and compressor suction lines shall be insulated to prevent sweating and heat gain. Insulation covering surfaces on which moisture can condense or those exposed to ambient conditions shall be vapor sealed to prevent any moisture. Same lang dito sa table kung paano ginawa nung una at kung paano kukuhanin. Okay, for the next slide, Carl. For the next slide is air conditioning equipment. Minimum equipment performance equation 6.4. Air conditioning equipment shall have a minimum performance corresponding to the rated shown in table 2. data furnished by equipment suppliers or manufacturers certified under a nationally recognized certification program or rating procedure shall be acceptable to satisfy these requirements. Performance rating. The performance rating of the air conditioning equipment with cooling capacity up to 50,000 cubic meter are 47,391 British R or 14 kilowatts 3.95 TR shall be measured through the cooling seasonal performance factor or CSPF. The performance rating of the air conditioning equipment above 14 kilowatt hour and 3.95 TR shall be measured by its EER or energy efficiency ratio or kilowatts. Thus, TR means tons of refrigeration. Whichever is applicable, the EER shall not be less than those quoted in Table 23, while kilowatt air and tons of refrigeration shall not be greater than the figures in the same table. Ayun lang po. Thank you. And the next reporter is Kevin Carl.
Hello again and welcome to another presentation. My name is Kevin Carl Pipino, alias Altus. Legendary! And I am the CEO of Paring Timang Electrical Company. Kung babasahin mo lahat na nakapresent dyan sa screen, may mga keywords kang mababasa such as heat recovery, which is ang pinaka main topic natin in chapter 5.11 on energy conserving designs of buildings. Yes po, yung tinatawag natin heat recovery, sikat siyang gawin sa mga buildings para i-reuse yung wasted na heat energy for a different variety of purposes. So pare ko, parang umiikot lang pala siya, no? Yes po. Parang nire-recycle lang ulit natin at kinagamit natin yung mga naiproduce ng heat galing doon sa system. Anyways, sa mga planta or factories, may naiproduce tayong heat dyan. And instead na hayaan nating masayang yung energy na yun doon sa atmosphere, yung iba sa kanila ay gumagamit itong system na tinatawag natin na heat recovery. At gumagamit din sila ng tinatawag nating wind turbines para mapag-produce ulit sila ng electricity. So gets? Next slide na tayo. Moving on. Kung babasahin mo ulit lahat ng nakalagyan sa slide, kahit di mo na yung basahin, makinig ka na lang sa akin. According dito kay section 5.11, sinasabi daw niya na kapag malaki yung pangangailangan ng isang building sa hot water, ay pwede tayo mag-adapt ng heat recovery sa air conditioning system ng isang building. Ha? Ano daw? Well, ganito kasi yun. Ginagawa natin to, pinakasimpleng explanation kung bakit natin pinapagawa sa atin to ni section 5.11 is that para ma-repurpose ulit yung wasted heat para makatipid tayo sa kuryente at syempre pati na rin sa money. Kumpara mo yun kung normally mo na lang ine-expel yung heat na nanggaling doon sa building sa environment. At pare ko, sinasabi rin dito sa section 5.11 na ang mga buildings na mayroong centralized na air supply system, air supply na hindi banda, hindi yung kanta, ang kailangan naman daw nilang gumamit or kailangan nilang gamitin ay yung enthalpy recovery wheel. Because mamaya ipapakita natin dito sa slide yung picture nun. Ano yung sinasabi na centralized air supply system? Baka kasi yung iba di sila familiar eh. Well, ang centralized air supply system, kung hindi kayo familiar doon, ito yung example niyan, yung sa mga aircons. Actually, isang beses pa lang ako nakakita nun, pero kumpara mo siya sa mga aircons na nakakabit sa bahay natin, mas malaki siya. Ang pinaka-purpose niya kasi is pwede nyo namang siyang i-search sa internet, no? Primary function niya kasi is makapag-distribute ng hangin in every room sa isang building. So, may kalakihan talaga siya. Pare ko, nakalagay din dito na ang recovery efficiency ay dapat at least 60% to 90% yung exhaust air mo. So, sa mga centralized na air conditioning systems kasi, ang kadalasan kasing nangyayari dyan, or pinaka-primary explanation, gaya lang din sa normal na aircon natin, which is, yung fresh air na galing sa labas is pinapasok niya sa loob ng bahay nyo. On the other hand, yung stale na air naman, or hangin na parang
parang mainit or malamig, either way, is ilalabas niya or i-expel niya doon sa environment. Bali kasi, kung bakit tayo pinapagamit o pinapasunod dito sa requirements na to kasi pagka sinunod natin to, medyo malaki kasi yung energy na may expel natin eh. Kasi yung mga ganitong system ay gumagamit ng mataas na energy kasi kailangan niya i-match yung kinukuha niyang air sa outside kung ano mang meron doon sa inside ng building na yon. Gets mo? Gets mo yan? Malakas ka eh. Kaya pinapagamit tayo ng ganitong enthalpy recovery wheel or energy recovery ventilation para daw ma-precondition na natin before pa lang pumasok yung hangin na yun doon sa building. Parang, ready na ako boy. Mas less yung energy na ma-expelled mo. Hence, mas makakatipid tayo sa energy. Ba't nakabukas na yung TikTok mo? Next slide. So, ito naman, nakikita nyo sa slide natin, meron tayong parang ganitong process yan eh. Actually, napakadali lang naman intindihan yan and may nakalagay naman yung mga description na kaya hindi na natin pagkapoposan niya kasi medyo kapos na rin sa time. But, next slide na tayo. And then, ito yung tinatawag natin na heat recovery wheel. No? Ganun lang din kasi explanation dyan eh. Parang sa kanina lang din. May papasok na fresh air and in exchange para mapalipig, papasarap kung ano mang kailangan nung nasa loob ng building na yun. I-exchange niya yung air na yun na nasa loob, ilalabas niya. Ganun lang yung explanation doon. Which is the same lang naman din sa unang slide, no? Sa unang illustration. So, next slide ulit tayo. Yan! So, ito. For thermal comfort in non-air conditioned buildings. Kapag sinasabi nating non-air conditioned buildings, ito yung mga buildings na hindi airtight, no? Kumbaga kung isipin niyo sa akin, parang na-imagine ko siya kasi as natural yung pumapasok na hangin sa kanya, no? Ito daw yung mga variables na for non-air conditioned buildings sa pwedeng maka-apekto sa human comfort. Dry bulb temperature, relative humidity or wet bulb temperature, air movement, ventilation, thermal radiation from hard surface, ceilings, walls, and glass windows. So, binasa ko pa rin kahit nakalagay na dyan. Ano yun? Next slide tayo. And finally, tapos, natural ventilations by jack roof and roof ventilator. Okay, makinig ulit kayo sa akin kasi di ko nababasahin to. Malamang iba sa inyo, di naman na rin nakikinig. Pwede nga sa inyo, di na rin nanonood ng video eh. First off, ano ba yung jack roof? Ang jack roof, pare koy, na tinatawag natin, ay yung nakikita mo sa ibang bansa, sa mga nasa roof nila, yung mga nasa bubungan nila, no? Or in western parts, to be more specific, no? So, ginagamit nila to, yung mga jack roof na to, bibigay rin ako ng picture dyan, ito. Ginagamit nila yan for additional portion, para magbigay ng additional portion sa bubong nila. Ito yung tinatawag naman nating roof ventilators. Malamang alam mo na yan kasi ayun yung nakikita na, may nakikita mo sa mga taas ng mga pabrika, may parang bilog doon na something na parang hugis hot air balloon ng ganon na parang umiikot. Magbibigay rito ng picture oh. Basta yun roof ventilator and jack roof. Okay. So for letter A, ang sinasabi dyan, mga nakalagay dyan ay roof ventilators. Ano ba yung roof ventilators? Sinasabi nila yan. Well, in case you didn't know, nakalagay kasi dito, ang function kasi ng mga roof ventilator is parang kanina lang din na explanation ko, mag-expel ng stale air doon sa atmosphere, or to be more specific, hot air outside, and then magpapasok siya ng fresh air doon sa buildings, no? So yung mga roof ventilators daw, may dalawa tayong factors na pinagbabasehan on its performance, which is number 1, thermal force, no? Yung thermal force na tinatawag daw natin, ito yung it is also known as temperature difference between indoor and outdoor air. Kumbaga parang i-apply mo lang yung law ng thermodynamics na ayan, yung mainit na hangin, susunod siya doon sa malamig na hangin. Parang ganun lang din. Ayun yung tinatawag natin na thermal force. Na kung saan yung hot air is mag-escape through a ventilator papunta doon sa environment. Number 2 naman is the wind effect. Ano po ba yung tinatawag natin na wind effect na yan? By the word itself, wind effect. Sa mga ventilators minsan mapapansin nyo, malakas ang hangin. Pag malakas ang hangin, nagkakaroon kasi ng pressure difference dyan. And pagka nagkaroon ng pressure difference, either mas magiging malakas yung paghakot niya ng hot air or pag-extract ng hot air, or mas magiging mahina. So, ayun yung dalawang factors na sinasabi natin in letter A for the performance of roof ventilators. Which is, ang mga pinagsasabi ko dito, probably mahirap intindihin. But, mag-make sense din yan. For letter B naman tayo. Pare ko, kung tinatamad ka na basahin yan, makinig ka na lang sa akin. Siyempre, sabi lang kasi dito na si jack roof, since ang pinagkaiba niya kasi talaga kay roof ventilator is mas poor ang performance ni jack roof kay roof ventilator pagdating sa ventilation or yung sa pag-extract ng mainit na hangin palabas. Kaya ang sinasabi dito, dahil nga 50% daw na mas less yung performance ni roof ventilator o ni jack roof kay roof ventilator, is dapat daw yung net ventilations or net ventilation area required per meter ng building na yon or length ng building na yon is it has to be larger in order na para ma-compensate yung performance ni jack roof. Gets? And then for letter C, andyan pumapasok yung tinatawag nating lover. Tunay nagmamahalan ng totoo. Sheesh. Yung mga lovers na, possible na alam nyo rin siya, and mag-send ako ng pic dito, yan, malamang nakikita nyo na siya sa mga lumang buildings, and familiar na rin kayo, no? Ang sinasabi dito, it should be installed daw, pare koy, at 1 meter above the floor level, para daw pumasok yung mga cooler and denser na fresh air sa buildings at lower levels. So, ayun lang yung sinasabi dito sa buong slide na to. So, next slide na tayo. Okay na. So, dito naman daw tayo sa mga provisions for natural lighting and ventilation. For general provisions, dapat daw lahat ng buildings ay may natural lighting sources such as windows, skylights, fan lights, doors, or other approved light transmitting elements. And additionally, natural ventilation must also be provided through similar means, ensuring a consistent supply of fresh air. And next, what daw? For number 2, kino-consider naman daw natin yung mga openings gaya ng sky, street courtyard, or airwell as a natural or as a valid sources of natural light and ventilation. And on to the next number 3, para naman daw sa mga buildings, bukod sa mga factories and warehouses, as long as yung any part ng building na yun, basta't meron siyang 9 meters na opening, pare koy, is consider daw natin siya as naturally ventilated. And for number 4, kahit hindi nyo na talaga basahin mga nandyan, pakinggan nyo na lang yung di-discuss ko kasi medyo short sa time at di ko na balak basahin yung mga yan para hindi na rin kapusin sa time. So, for factories and warehouses naman daw, 12 meters naman daw yung effective na reach para sa mga windows at wall openings. And on the other hand, 9 meters naman para doon sa mga reach ng openings ng roof. And of course, measured siya ng horizontally. And next number is number 5. Okay? Another provision na naman pare ko hindi na tayo matapos-tapos dito. Well, ang sinasabi dito kay number 5, dapat daw every room inside the building must have at least one opening for adequate amount of natural light and ventilation. Basta, ito ang sinasabi lang, pinakasimple lang, galing sa provision 1, na dapat lahat daw ng building, meron daw dapat tayong lighting, source or opening, basta isa, more than one, at least. Dito naman, sinasabi naman dito, in every room naman tayo. Every room inside a building must have at least one opening. Diba? And then, the total openings na meron doon sa building na yon, it's either a windows, gaya kanina, louvers, and etc. It must have at least X percentage ng total room area and Y percentage dedicated sa uninterrupted airflow. So, nag-iiba-iba kasi yung values nitong si X percentage at Y percentage as specified in building regulations in table number 24. Pero di ko na rin siya may papakita dito since nang nahanap ko yung table na yun, wala ring nakalagay na mga values. May mga nakalagay siyang values for different occupancies like house or etc. etc. Pero wala talaga nakalagay na value at di ko rin alam kung bakit. So, okay na po yung slide na yan. Let's proceed tayo. And then, next slide is number 6. So, para naman sa mga cases ng public garages, pare koy, for effective cross-ventilation, dapat sa mga public garages na yan, 50% of the whole total area must be open. Okay? Or 50% of the total area of 2 or more side, it has to be open. Para ma-consider natin siya as a safe na garage. Kasi, dahil nga, for example na to, nakikita natin sa mga malls, dapat daw kasi 50% yung total wall, 50% ng total wall area mo ay dapat open para sa proper ventilation and maiwasan natin yung overheating. Kasi alam natin sa mga garage, no? Diyan pumapasok yung mga sasakyan eh. And yung mga sasakyan na yun is nagpo-produce ng large amount of heat. Syempre, pag nagpo-produce ka ng large amount of heat, dapat may proper ventilation din yun. Kaya syempre, sinasabi dyan na 50% dapat kasi malaking pinoproduce na heat ng mga kasasakyan natin. Okay? So kung ano man yun, basta gets nyo na yun. So for number 7, ano naman sinasabi dito para sa mga enclosed parking? So, ang unang tanong kasi natin dyan, kailan ba natin siya kino-consider as an enclosed parking? Consider natin siya as an enclosed parking if hindi siya lumagpas of at least 50% yung open area niya sa mga corner ng walls. Gaya ng sinabi doon sa number 6, no? Doon tsaka natin siya may considered as an enclosed parking or an enclosed parking garage, no? So, pare ko pinakaunang sinasabi daw dito para sa mga enclosed parking garage is unang-una dapat gamitin si SCADA or it is also known as Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition at pati na rin si BMS or Building Management Systems to detect yung mga contaminants at may adjust yung ventilation doon sa isang enclosed parking or isang enclosed garage. And bakit ba ano to? Bakit ba sikat tong mga enclosed parking garage to? Well, pare ko nagisikat yung mga ganyan kasi para sa mga ano yan for stocking, for storage, kunyari mga sasakyan din na pwede mo ilagay doon, parang ano lang siya, parang storing mo lang, parang hindi mo talaga siya magagamit. So may sinasabi din dito na an induction jet fan ventilation with an electronically commutated AC motor shall be used in basement parking garages due to the following. So, gagamit daw dapat tayo sa mga enclosed parking garages ng ganito ng induction jet fan ventilation due to the following reasons, which is I'm going to discuss now. Ito kasing si induction or jet fan ventilation, isa siyang modern and efficient system designed to provide na proper ventilation kahit enclosed yung spaces mo. Parang instead na magkaroon ka ng open area, ito na lang gagamitin mo as a parang another way na lang, no? Kasi pag enclosed yung garage mo, medyo mahirap magbutas-butas yan. Isipin mo kasi pagka enclosed yung garage, minsan nasa underground, diba? Hindi ka pwede magbutas yan. Kaya gumagamit tayo nitong induction jet fan ventilation minsan, no? So next slide na tayo. Yan, no? Kita nyo naman, ang daming reason na nakalagay dyan for number 7. Actually, ganun i-reason out ko. Kahit hindi mo ulit basahin yan, i-explain ko na lang. Makinig ka na lang sa akin, pre. Okay? Sabi lang kasi dito, no? Kaya tayo gumagamit ang jet induction ventilation, no? Kaya kasi niyan, gaya na sinabi ko kanina, na for basement parking garages, kung saan mahirap talaga yung magkaroon ka ng proper ventilation. And ginagamit kasi talaga natin to for ensuring yung ventilation or dilution ng pollutants, or kaya naman para makatipid tayo. Diba? Kasi isipin mo, bukod sa magbutas-butas ka dyan sa mga pader dyan, no? Gumamit ka lang ng jet fan. Hindi mas nakatipid ka pa. Diba? So, ayun yung mga following reasons. Okay? Lastly, for number 8. For terrace houses naman daw that is deeper than 12 meters. Pare ko underground na yun. Diba? Ang sinasabi naman dito ni section 5.11 is dapat daw cross ventilation. Magkaroon ka ng cross ventilation through vents. Yung house mo from front or harap, likod, at pati na ron sa mga cross walls. And dapat daw yung gagamitin nating mga vents, it must provide at least 0.4 square meters of net open area. And for mechanical ventilations naman tayo, sa mga buildings gaya na mayroong limited access, sa mga sites or buildings na may limited access lang sa natural airflow and light, pina-allow naman gamitin to sa mechanical ventilation, pero as a substitute lamang. Hindi siya pwede parang first choice mo talaga kasi i-open mo, no? Kasi pagka ganito kasi may mga nalalabag ka kasing rules din na nanggaling mismo sa ano na to, no? Mga underground garage or whatever, kung saan insufficient talaga, di mo makaparaanan. Kung magbubutas ka doon ng opening, mas malaki pa nagagastos mo. Pero kung kaya mo naman siya gawing open, open mo na lang. Okay? So yung sinasabi dito sa part 2 and ayun, sa second part, no? Next slide tayo. Is yung mga nakalagay dito. Ito yung parang pinakasinusunod nating table doon, no? Na parang in order to payagan ka for mechanical ventilation is dapat dapat parang in exchange mas ayos din, parang almost close, or at least it must provide a specific quality of air and flow requirements naman dito para payagan ko for mechanical ventilation. Ayun. Thank you guys for listening for section 5. Let's proceed for our next reporter in section 6. Thank you. Kala mo tapos na ako, no? Syempre hindi pa. Dito po sa section na to, nakapaloob yung mga criteria para maging energy efficient yung design ng building natin na gumagamit ng steam and hot water systems. So bakit nga ba kailangan natin, or bakit nga ba naisipan ng mga taong to gumawa ng or mag-create ng isang section specifically for steam and hot water? Parang magpapakulo ka nga lang ng tubig Pakulo ka na ng tubig, okay na yan, tapos na. Actually, pare ko ginagawa natin to or ginawa nating section na to kasi malaki yung nako-consume nating energy tuwing nagpapakulo tayo ng tubig. At para mapagproduce ng steam, malaki rin yung kinakailangan mong energy. Alam natin yan, engineer tayo, di ba? Alam natin ang law ng thermodynamics, ilan yung kinakailangan mong joules para mapainit yung o mapakuluan yung isang tubig. And syempre, malaki yung nagagamit mong energy kapag ginagawa natin yon. And pag mas malaki yung energy na na-expelled mo, mas malaki yung cost pagdating doon sa property. Ganoon naman pala yun. Kaya pala ginawa tong section na to kasi para ma-minimize yung energy consumption at heat loss. So, applicable tong section na to para sa mga hotels, restaurants, hospitals, at sa mga laundry shops na ano naman talaga natin gumagamit ng large amount ng hot water and steam. So next, ito naman tayo pare ko. Ano ba yung sinasabi ni section 6 pagdating sa dapat na design ng system natin para maging efficient siya? Well, huwag kang mag-alala, dito nakalagay yon sa system design and sizing. Okay? So, first off, importante na maglagay tayo ng proper system design and sizings para ma-minimize yung energy losses. Unang-unang nga binanggit dito, or first of all, dapat daw pumili tayo or magkaroon tayo ng selections ng pinaka-energy efficient na design ng system. Common sense na lang yan eh. For example lang pare ko eh. Pero instead na gumamit ka ng outlet or electricity na consume natin araw-araw sa pagpapakulo ng tubig, may possibility na pwede ka rin gumamit ng solar water heater. Wow! Yayamanin. Which is, di ba mas efficient siya at mas makakatipid ka, di ba? So may mga conditions din tayo na nakalagay dito. Dapat daw, yung system na gagamitin natin ay may lowest overall energy usage. Including kasama na yung mga losses na sa circulation, sa mga storage, sa kung anong, etc. Okay? So, ganon yung pa-prioritize natin dito. Ayun ang sinasabi doon. Prioritize natin ang pinakamababa na overall energy usage na system. So, next naman, dapat daw, mas preferred daw natin gumamit ng steam over electricity. So, bakit daw? That is because yung steam is more energy efficient, no? Kumpara kung gagamit ka ng electricity for generating hot water. So, kung ayaw mo naman daw na masayang yung electricity mo, ang sinasabi dito is gumamit ka na lang ng steam kung may available naman na steam. Diba? E di steam na lang gamitin mo since mas effective siya at mas efficient pa. So, with that, pwede tayo gumamit ng sinasabi dito na nakalista dyan, heat exchangers para ma-transfer naman daw yung heat na galing sa steam ito dun sa water, o kaya naman daw mga heat pumps para naman daw makaproduce na tayo ng hot water mismo. So, next slide. For the next letter naman pare ko another one. Na kapag daw steam yung ginagamit natin bilang source ng heat or ni heat, is pwede daw tayo mag-install na sinasabi dito na centralized hot water generator. Is ginagamit natin para mabawasan yung heat losses while piping. Next one, sinasabi rin dito, dapat daw efficient din yung gagamitin nating boiler o yung vessel na paggagamitan natin o papakuluan natin ng tubig para mapag-produce ng steam, which is specifically, dapat daw efficient siya with 85% of rating and above efficiency. In any case naman daw, for letter E, sinasabi dyan na hindi ka gumagamit kay steam or ayaw mo sa kanya, bahala ka dyan. May mga alternatives naman daw tayo na pwede gamitin, kagaya ng direct fired hot water generator na mayroong efficiency na similar din doon sa boilers. And then, for letter F naman daw, in any case naman daw pare ko pwede din daw tayo gumamit ng solar water heaters. Gaya ng sinabi ko kanina, as backups kapag tag-ulan na. For next letter G. For the last one, minimizing energy loss. In order to maximize yung efficiency ng system natin, dapat daw may eliminate natin yung mga following. Number 1, insufficient insulation ng mga pipes or ng tanks natin. And number 2, pipe leakage na pwede makapag-produce ng losses or makapag-produce ng waste ng heat and water. So, that's all for this slide. Next slide naman tayo. And then, ano naman yung sinasabi ni chapter 6 or ni section 6, steam and hot water system, pagdating naman doon sa hot temperature natin sa mga hot water supplies, no? Para naman sa mga temperature ng mga hot water, dapat daw appropriate in different usage daw to, such as 45 degrees Celsius para sa washing and etc. 45 degrees Celsius for hot bath, and for kitchen use, 60 degrees Celsius naman daw. Mas recommended daw kung magkakaroon tayo ng separate systems para sa hot and cold na water. So pare ko, bakit? Pag pinagsasama mo kasi yung dalawang yan, mas magiging malaki yung loss mo, yung magiging energy usage mo. Kasi, kunwari, from hot, gusto mo gawing cold. Hindi magkakaroon ng adjustments yung bigla-biglaan. Kaya, sinasabi dito na mas efficient daw kung gagamit ka ng magkahiwalay na systems. Next slide. And next, for section 6 naman, for waste heat recovery and utilizations, no? In this section, nakalagay dito, yung mga sinasabi dito, pare ko there are different strategies para ma-minimize natin yung waste sa heat natin. So, parang gaya rin ng mga discuss ko kanina, parang umulit na siya dito. Ang pinagkaiba lang is galing siya for chilled water systems and the chilled water galing sa chilled water systems to supplement our hot water demands, no? And kahit di mo nabasahin yan, maikli lang naman explanation dyan. For letter A, no? Basta sinasabi lang dyan na meron tayong alternative methods or sources para mabawasan natin yung dependence natin sa traditional methods ng pagpaproduce ng hot water parikoy. And these panel systems na sinasabi natin, no, they must accomplish the following: capture sufficient heat for useful purposes, minimize chiller lift and maximize chiller efficiency, and number 3, control the hot water temperature without sacrificing the stable plant operations. And then for next slide, we have letter V. And sasabi dito that storage should use storage that should be used should be optimized heat recovery when the flow of heat to be recovered is out of phase with the demand for hot water. And given the table number 30, this is the minimum performance ratings for steam and hot water system equipment. So you might look that out ang gusto nyo gawin. And by the way, this is the end of my report. Thank you for listening, and let's proceed to our next reporter. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Timothy Mark Esquiada, aka Nyogi.
So for the scope ng Section 7 Lighting, in-explain lang po dito yung coverage which is interior and exterior ng buildings which are required to have lighting. Next slide please. For exemption, ini-imply lang po na dito sa mga laws dahil dito ng special lighting and general requirements are categories na did not ma-apply sa said lighting design stated at the PowerPoint presentation. Next slide please. So for this slide po, in-explain lang po na dapat daw maximize natin ang natural lighting sa ating lighting design. Pwede apply mga features na nakastate sa ating PowerPoint presentation. Next slide please. For B, C, and D, they're all pretty self-explanatory naman po, so feel free to pause the video for further understanding po. For E, adjust po ang ating lighting intensity according po sa gagamit at paggagamitan. Sa F, building that has 10 or more floors are mandatory po na may ilaw sa ating mga passageways, especially sa emergency exits. G, piliin po natin ang pinaka-efficient color rendering per power consumption po. Next slide please. So H is explained na po, and for I, be wise daw po tayo sa pagpili ng combination ng ilaw for light distribution. And sa J, have high room reflectance para maiwasan ang ating dark spots sa ating bahay. Next slide please. So for K, utilize efficient effective switching options for better control sa ating lighting. And sa L, take consideration din po natin ang pagpili ng lighting systems na life cycle cost, which is yung maintenance po natin. Next slide please. So LPD explains lang po kung ano ang ating maximum amount of power per unit area na kayang i-handle ng ating systems. Next slide please. Sa ating slides 83 to 88, isa-summarize ko na lang po siya. So sa lighting controls po, we all know naman na mga limitations ng per circuit natin at kung ano ang mga efficient na light control switches na pwede natin gamitin per light outlet. Ito pong 812 ay ni-imply lang po na dapat tayo mag-ingat sa ating paggamit at be wise enough to avoid any faults sa ating light control. Next slide please. Next slide please. So for this slide and the next, now we're all taught naman po kung saan dapat ilagay ang mga switches, so we'll just have you pause and read the slides. Basta ang mahalaga po dito ay dapat tayo mag-endpoint sa pwesto at ng ating light control sa ating lighting systems. Next slide please. So sa required design documentation is self-explanatory also, so please feel free to pause the video po and read the following requirements. Next slide please. So next section po natin is electric motors. Next slide please. For A po, AC motors that are that are ranging 1 to 200 horsepower operating at 230 to 480 volts at 60 Hz are required for efficiency requirements. So sa B, ang ating motors daw po ay need to meet or exceed the load efficiency that is stated at table 43. Next slide please. Sa C naman po is yung nameplates daw po na ng ating motors ay need na complete ng information na provided ng PEC. So, sa D po, ito po ang criteria sa pagpili ng ating AC motors. Next slide please. So for E, our motors should have speed variable for efficiency, and sa F naman po is the type of motor na pinaka-efficient na gamitin, which is the SRM. Next slide please. So for this slide and the next, for starting and control methods for electric motors, so sa A po, we have 4 methods. Direct on the line which is the most simplest. Star delta method, which is to be avoided mostly. Next slide please. So auto transformer reduce the grid voltage to the motor until it reach the desired speed, but must be avoided unless no choice na po tayong gamitin. Then sa soft starting method, which is the gradual increase ng motor torque as speed rises, which is ito po yung pinaka-recommended na ating gamitin. Next slide please. So for this slide and the next, so for letter B, all are advantages of using VSD and VFDs, which are recommended to use because of smooth starting, acceleration, deceleration, and etc. To summarize lang po, much better po na if we use VSD and VFDs. Next slide please. For A po, the use of DC motors are allowed if higher starting torque, quick start, reverse, and voltage free from harmonics are present po. So sa B to D are self-explanatory, which are the uses and limitations of DC motors po. Pwede po natin siyang pause yung video and basahin po natin siya. Next slide please. Escalator and walkways. Sa A po, stated na it must automatically reduce speed after 1.5 minutes of inactivity. Yung time po is adjustable for demand. So sa B po, stated that it should be at standby at 5 minutes of inactivity. Sa C, stated lang po na it should also have a AC motor inside using VFDs or DC inverter drives that reduces speed po. Next slide please. Next slide please. So D po, stated na if it is designed for high gravitational PE, which is yun sa mga airports po, it must have VFDs for optimized energy use. Next slide please. So for elevators and lifts po, for A, it must utilize AC current and VVVF to reduce energy consumption. So for B, if it's for 10 stories or up buildings po, it must have a VFDs or soft starters. C, it's stated na it must have a energy efficient lighting that has average lamp efficacy of 80 lumens per watt. Sa D and E, states lang po na lights and the elevator itself must enter standby mode in 5 minutes of inactivity po. So adjustable din po yung 5 minutes depende po sa ating demand. Next slide please. So same lang po sa ating last section. For this slide and the next, required design and documentation are all stated at these 2 slides. Feel free to pause the video and read for better understanding po. Thank you. So for our next reporter po is Joyce Adaray to further discuss other topics in our set presentation po. Thank you.
Good day everyone, I am Joyce Adarayan and I am here to discuss the section 9 or electric power and distribution. In this section, andito kung paano mag-apply ng mga energy efficiency requirements na para sa transformer at mga requirements din kung paano naman mag-conserve ng energy sa mga distribution system ng buildings. When it comes to energy efficiency requirements ng isang transformer, dapat ay hindi siya mababa ng 98%. Isa rin sa requirements sa mga load ng transformer na gagamitin sa electrical system ng mga gusali ay ang power factor nito. Hindi dapat ito mas mababa sa 85% na may lagging. Kapag mababa naman ang power factor nito sa 85%, kailangan maglagay ng capacitors. Kapag nilagay naman ang mga capacitor banks at ang CHCI o Computed Harmonic Contamination Index ng isang gusali ay lumampas sa 50%, ang capacitor banks ay dapat may kasamang detune filters o ang pagbigyan ng resonance sa capacitor banks kapag in-install to para may ayos ang power factor sa pamamagitan pag-shift ng resonant frequency ng capacitor banks papalayo doon sa harmonic frequencies para masigurado na ang capacitor banks ay hindi nag-amplify doon sa harmonic currents para ma-improve yung kabuuan ng system stability at maiwasan ang potential damage dahil sa resonance. Para ma-compute naman natin ang CHCI, ito ang formula. Pagdating naman sa transformer load grouping scheme, dapat ay nakaayos para yung transformer ay ma-load ng hindi magbababa ng 60% na kabuuan ng load rating nito. Hanggat maaari, dapat din na minimize ng mga circuit na walang load o mga kombinasyon ng particular loaded circuits. Yung mga disconnecting switches or breakers naman ay dapat nakalagay sa primary side or supply ng transformer para mag-perform agad ito ng electrical disconnection para kapag no load period. Isa rin sa requirements na magkaroon ng maayos na ventilation ang mga transformer at may direktang access mula sa kalsada para sa madaling maintenance anumang oras. Ang connection dapat ng high voltage side ng isang transformer ay nasa delta while yung low voltage side ng transformer ay nakakonect sa Y na may neutral na available para sa grounding. Dumako naman tayo sa emergency standby generator sets. Ayon dito, ang mga gusali na may elevators ay kinakailangan magkaroon ng mga emergency generator set na may sapat na kapasidad upang patakbuhin ang mga elevators na may sapat na oras para iligtas ang mga tao sa loob ng elevators sa panahon na pagkawala ng kuryente. Ang generator set ay dapat itakda ayon sa tamang power rating nito upang mapakinabangan ang paggamit. Meron tayong tatlong uri ng power rating. Una ay yung standby rating kung saan ito ang pinaka-common or karaniwang uri ng generator set. Ginagamit ito upang magbigay ng kuryente kapag nawala ng supply o kapag nagkaroon ng outage sa loob ng gusali. Ang prime power rating naman, sa madaling salita, ay ginagamit ito sa mga lugar na walang regular na supply ng kuryente. Kapag continuous power rating naman, ginagamit ito sa mga application kung saan ang supply ng kuryente ay kailangan constant na 100% ang load para sa unlimited number of hours sa kada taon. Tulad ng mga condominiums ay gumagamit ng smart home technologies para mas madali ma-monitor ang ating mga kabahayan dahil maaari itong makontrol sa malayuan dahil nakakonect ito sa Internet of Things or IoT. Mas okay din kung papalagyan na ito ng security para maprotektahan ang smart home system gamit ang mga software o hardware kasi maaari pa rin itong ma-hack. Regular inspection, maintenance, and audit. Kailangan magsagawa ng yearly inspection at maintenance ng kanilang electrical systems ang mga gusali para alamin ang kanilang hotspots na maaaring magdulot ng pagkawala ng distribution system at posibleng magdulot ng sunog. Ang mga gusali rin ay dapat na subaybayan at itala ang kanilang monthly energy consumption para magkaroon ng baseline value. Ang mga covered na gusali ay kailangan magsagawa ng regular na energy audit ng kanilang mga pasilidad. Sa required design documentation naman, ang electrical plan ay dapat nagpapakita ng layout ng power supply at single line diagram ng connection ng gusali sa local na power utility supply. Kasama sa electrical plan ay ang schedule of loads, calculation and technical specification and other details na required mula sa latest edition ng PEC Part 1. Kasama na rin na ipakita ang mga UPS supply circuits, particular para sa emergency lighting. Kasama rin sa design ng mga calculation, technical specification para sa lighting protection system. Sa section 10 na ito, ang pag-uusapan naman natin is ang renewable energy systems and equipment. nakasaad na ang mga gusali ay kailangan mag-install ng renewable energy power supply system sa kanilang pasilidad upang mabawasan ang demand, energy consumption at hindi direktang mabawasan ang mga greenhouse gas or GHG emissions. Ang mga RE power supply systems ay dapat i-disenyo at i-install ayon sa provision ng pinakabagong edisyon ng Philippine Electrical Code Part 1. Nire-recommend nila na ang mga gusali ay gumamit ng mga sistema o kagamitan na gumagamit ng renewable energy upang mabawasan ang demand sa komersyal na kuryente. Ang mga RE power supply system ay dapat mayroong hindi bababa sa 2 metro. Para makakuha ng incentives under Republic Act 9513, hinihikayat na mag-avail ng Green Energy Option Program at mag-demand sa local electric utility or retail electricity suppliers na ang energy na isusupply sa building ay galing sa renewable energy sources. Isa sa mga annual energy requirements ng renewable energy is yung mabawasan ang demand sa komersyal na kuryente. Ang mga covered na gusali ay kailangan kumuha sa simula ng hindi bababa sa 1% sa pamamagitan ng pag-install ng alinman sa mga sumusunod. Ang RE power supply systems, solar water heaters, solar cooling systems, solar powered lighting systems, at any other similar system or equipment. So, ang paggamit ng GEOP ng isang gusali ay nakakapag-satisfy din sa nasabing requirement. Ang nasabing requirement ay maaaring itaas ng Department of Energy paminsan-minsan, alinsunod sa kanilang mandate. Sa required design documentation naman is medyo similar siya dun sa Section 9 or sa electric power and distribution, pero dito naman is kailangan ng electrical plan ay mayroong power supply layout and single line diagram na connection ng building sa local power utility supply internal distribution system, protection, monitoring, and backup and alternative power systems na nagpapakita ng technical specification of the protection, metering, emergency generation sets, and renewable power supply system. Isa rin sa mga pinagbabatayan para ma-meet yung required design documentation is kung applicable naman yung brochure and technical data sheets na may main components ng renewable power supply system, at dapat din na mayroong kontrata ng electricity power supply.
Sawa ka na ba sa matataas na bills, mainit na buga ng aircon at mababang quality ng hangin at ilaw? Pues, andito na ang mga timang.
T para sa temperature control. I-optimize ang cooling system para makatipid sa kuryente.
I for insulation. Siguraduhin maayos ang insulation ng mga building para mabawasan ang cooling load ng mga cooling systems.
Ako si alias Mando. Letter M for maximize ventilation. I-maximize ang ventilation para mabawasan ang mga namumuong moisture at pataasin ang quality ng hangin.
Letter A for appliance efficiency. Pumili ng mga energy efficient na appliances para makatipid sa kuryente.
Letter N for natural lighting. I-maximize ang natural lighting para mabawasan ang paggamit ng artificial na ilaw.
G for green energy. Gumamit ng renewable energy kung kaya itong gawin.
Huh? Psst! Hoy! Ano ginagawa mo? Bumalik ka dito!
Jello Cruz, yung tomboy na mataba na nang-away ng bata sa McDo sa Pasig.
Pagparing timang na kayo.